What's going on, good people? Good Monday afternoon. Hope you guys are doing well today. And let's talk about the man. Let's talk about the guy that needs to be talked about a lot right now because right now, most conversations around the Seahawks end up coming back to this guy, the quarterback, the signal caller, number 7, Geno Smith. And we've got a big decision coming up on Geno Smith, and Seahawks fans are trying to figure out what side of the fence they want to stand on here because we've got 3 games left. Season's almost over. And in a few games, even if we make the playoffs, we're just a few games away from having to make a big decision on Geno. Do you re-sign him to a long-term extension? Do you tag him and see where that takes you? Do you just let him walk? That seems relatively unlikely at this point, but okay, put it out there. What do you do with Geno Smith? And his play in recent games has started to turn some people, I think. I definitely get the sense that there is a anti-Geno sentiment within the fan base that didn't exist a month ago, month and a half ago, when the team was winning. I definitely see these people who were very pro and positive on Geno a month and a half ago now starting to wonder if maybe that wasn't the right horse to bet on. And it's a discussion that is worth having. What is Geno Smith? Most importantly, what is he going to be going forward? And is this a guy who you should be looking to make a significant investment in for the rest of his career, in all likelihood, or most of it? So, the reason why there's been more anti-Geno sentiment lately is, of course, because he's not playing as well, and the team hasn't been having the same success that they had previously. Right? We started 6-3, things were looking good, and since then we've gone 1-4, things not looking so good. And of course, Geno is part of the reason for that fall off. Well, you would assume so, right? He's the quarterback. He's got to be responsible for the team winning or losing. The quarterback is so much more important than any other player on the field. Of course, the quarterback has to be the one deciding whether or not games are won or lost. So, let's let's actually make sure that's the case. Before I go any further, let's actually make sure that's the case here. Let's take a look at some of these numbers. And I've split Geno's season into 3 parts for the sake of succinctness. This is the first 5 games where Geno was playing really well. Geno was really impressing people, but the team wasn't really winning games. We were 2-3. We had that Denver win. We had the ridiculous Lions win, and then we had lost 3 other games. Now, we had lost a couple games where Geno had played pretty much fine, where I thought Geno had played really good football, and we just didn't win. But everybody was actually kind of blown away with how Geno was playing. And if you look at these numbers from his first 5 games, you can see why. Completion percentage above 75. He gave you 260 passing yards and 15 rushing yards a game, 9 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Very efficient. He took 9 sacks across 5 games, which is really, really good, especially given the situation he was in. And yeah, this is the stretch of football that made people think, hey, this Geno Smith guy, maybe there's something going on here. Maybe we got something cooking. And then you had the next 4 games. These are the 4 games we won in a row that made people think this Seahawks team could be really good. Now, Geno's numbers during this 4-game stretch actually down a little bit when you look at it. The completion percentage went down. The yards were down. He ran the ball a little more effectively. The touchdowns were down, though. He was getting sacked a little bit more. He fumbled a couple of times. The numbers were down, and yet the team was winning at a much higher clip. They looked like a much better team. So, of course, you get to the third phase of Geno's season so far, these most recent 5 games, where the team has gone 1-4, where the team has, got 1 win in the final minute against a terrible Rams team, And of course, Geno Smith's numbers are, well, completion percentage slightly lower, more yards, more touchdowns. He's turning the ball over more, okay. QB rating is higher. He's getting sacked at approximately the same clip. Rushing yards, very close to the same. A little bit less, I guess, but a little bit more than it was at the start. Huh. It actually doesn't really look worse at all, does it? So, what changed? How is he putting up bigger, more impressive, more robust numbers, actually helping the team score more points, and yet the team is not winning? It's almost like there are other things going on here. You guys get what I'm trying to sell here? You guys understand the point I'm trying to make here? Okay, the numbers are not worse. Now, I don't want to be disingenuous here. I understand that there are certain things that people are talking about when it comes to Geno's performance that has them worried about him. There are certain things that Geno is a participant in that have led to these losses, despite us nominally having pretty impressive offensive performances. 34 points against the Raiders, 27 against the Rams, 24 against the Panthers. These numbers all sound well and good, but there's a bigger picture here, and I don't want to completely paint all over it with these box score numbers, because box score numbers, they will deceive you. I get it. When people are looking at Geno Smith and they're trying to wrap their mind around what he is right now, they're looking at the sack rate, which has gone up as the year has gone on. He's been sacked 16 times in his last 5 games. He had gotten sacked 12 times in his previous 4 and 9 in his previous 5 before that. So he's getting sacked more. He's turning the ball over more. We can clearly see that. He's fumbling the ball. He's lost a few fumbles. He's thrown those 4 interceptions. Yeah, okay. Makes sense. That's concerning. And you also have the concern of him keeping drives alive. Third down, right? And let me make sure everything about those things I just said is fully understood. You go over to this Yardbarker article, and they have a reference to a PFF stat that I have also seen. This was before the 49ers game, but in Seattle's 4 games, which was the Bucks, the Raiders, the Rams, and the Panthers, he had 10 turnover-worthy throws, so that's 2.5 per game. He had only 12 in the first 10 games, which was just over 1 a game. So over that 4-game stretch, he had become twice as turnover prone. And again, these aren't actual turnovers. These are just throws that probably should have been turnovers. From the quarterback's perspective, it's a turnover. So, okay, that's concerning. Also concerning, I went back and looked at his third down conversion rate, or the offense's third down conversion rate, during these periods of, let's call them the 3 Geno eras. And you can see the first 5 games, we actually converted at an incredibly high clip, 48%. We averaged something around 11 third down attempts a game. The next 4 games, we averaged around 12 attempts a game, 43%. So went down a little bit, even though we were winning. And then, of course, in these recent 5 games, it's gone through the floor at 35%, one of the worst in the league in all likelihood, on about 11 attempts per. So, I get it. These are not good signs. This is not what you want to see from your quarterback. This is not what you want to see from your team. But let's think about the other things this team was doing during that 4-game winning streak. During that 4-game winning streak, you saw a defense that was really shutting down opponents. You saw a defense that was able to kind of win the game for themselves. You had 9 points against the Cardinals, 21 against the Chargers, and one of those touchdowns was garbage time, so basically 14. 13 points to the Giants, and 14 points to the Cardinals. So you had a defense that was actually, by points per game, one of the best, maybe the best in the league over that period. In the first half, in the first part of the year, you didn't have the defense. The defense was terrible, but you could run the ball. What has this team been completely unable to do over the last 5 games? They can't do either of those things. And what do you think a quarterback is going to do when he knows I have no running game and I have no defense? You're going to take more chances. And that's how you get something like this. 10 turnover-worthy throws in Seattle's past 4 games. Well, guess what? When Geno Smith sees the opportunity to make a play, he's got to take it because he knows that if he gives the ball back to the other team, they're probably going to score. He knows that if I don't get this big chunk play on this down, it's going to be really hard to make those yards back because we don't have any kind of a ground attack. We're down to our 3rd or 4th string running backs. We're down to running backs we signed off the couch. And I see DK Metcalf. He's open by like 6 inches. I got to take this shot to him. Yeah, it could get picked off. Yeah, it could go bad. Yeah, I could be about to look stupid here, but I got to try to get this chunk play so I can get this touchdown and hopefully stave things off because I know my defense is not going to come through for me. I know my running game is not going to support me. And how much do you want to bet that these 3rd downs that we're in are long down and distances because we have no running game? And that says nothing about the fact that we have 2 rookies at tackle who, while they're playing good, are going to make rookie mistakes and leave you hanging, leave you high and dry in situations where a veteran tackle probably wouldn't have done that. So, to me, the answer is pretty simple here, guys. Geno is Geno. It's everything else that is changing. Now, my overall position on Geno Smith and the Seahawks going forward remains as it pretty much always has. I like having options. I'm fine with committing to Geno Smith for the next few years. I'm fine with tagging him and trading him and drafting a rookie. I think both options have positives and negatives. I think both make some sense. And I believe both can produce a really, really great team. But what I don't like is seeing some of these people who I know fell in love with Geno just a month and a half ago, now throwing in the towel on him and already thinking about Bryce Young or, some people, I guess, Caleb Williams. Like, some people already thinking about, let's give the year to Drew Lock and tank for Caleb Williams. I think it's a mistake. I think it's a mistake to look at what's going on right now with Geno, where he is making more mistakes. The production is not what it was, and not ascribing the right things to it. Like, you look at a number like this, and yeah, the 3rd down conversion rate has plummeted. But I'm pretty sure that has something to do with the fact that we can't run the ball anymore. Pretty sure that has something to do with the fact that a lot of these 3rd downs are 3rd down and long because we can't run the ball anymore. You look at Geno making all these turnover-worthy throws. Probably has something to do with him needing to take chances because you got to put up a lot of points if you're going to win games with this Seahawks team. So, sorry, I'm just not buying the narrative that Geno Smith is turning into a pumpkin here. And I wanted to make a video to talk about this. Like, box score numbers deceive. I do not doubt that. But these numbers, in terms of productiveness and effectiveness, very similar to what he was doing during the winning streak. In some ways a little bit better, in some ways a little worse. But I believe that it would be a mistake to assume that we've all found out that Geno Smith is some backup caliber quarterback because of a stretch of games where he's the only thing on this team that gives us a chance to win from week to week right now. It's not the defense. It's not the special teams. Special teams has been okay lately, but it's not going to win you a game. Certainly not this running game. He's got 2 above average tackles. He's got good receivers. He's got good tight ends. And that's it. So he's got to make all that hum. All right, that's my 15 minutes on Geno. Let me know what you guys think. I'm just not seeing a player who is getting worse. I'm seeing a player who is in worse circumstances. Those are my thoughts. So, still fine with Geno. Let me know what you guys think. Go Hawks.